Hi everybody, got to be quick. It's about to rain. It's cold, but we've got moss. We've got trees. What else could we need? Autumn leaves, perhaps a bit of sun. In fact, yesterday I was on a beach in Spain, so here we are today. Anyway, let's get inside. It's cold.
Okay, so in the warmth of the studio now, we are going to start working on the moss and the tree. Now, the moss itself is not a great deal different from doing any other foliage. Perhaps a little bit different from doing close-up leaves, but certainly, you know, doing distant trees, it'd be the same process as that. So we have the acrylic block in, need to darken it now, and I'm going to do that with the Series 3, size 3/8, available from my website. And I've mixed up some sap green, and I think that will be okay to begin with. Now, the paint on the brush here is as it comes from the tube. It's not thinned down in any way. And I'm not putting a lot on the brush either. If you put too much on the brush, as I said in past videos, you just get one big brush mark. We don't want that. We want all these tiny individual dots that you can see here. So I'm going to go over pretty much this whole light green area. First of all, with this colour. We are going to need to alter the colour for certain areas. We're going to need to, there are some more shaded, more darker areas within this, which we shall do afterwards, but let's just exhaust this colour to begin with. And as you can see, what that's giving us is a little bit of texture, and it's starting to look already like the photograph, which you can see here. Okay, so we've pretty much used that colour everywhere it needs to be. What I'm going to now do is start adding some darker tones, and to do that I'm going to mix in, to begin with, some ivory black into that green mix that we were just using. And just where we can see those darker tones, just go over those areas. Right, so that's the general darkening. What we now need to do is start adding those highlights. There are also lots of leaves and debris on there as well that we'll put in. Let's get this moss area done first, and then we'll move up to the tree afterwards. The next thing I'm going to do is just build up on this bank here a little bit. You can just about see some of this sort of grey colour just along the line of the bank there. So now using the Tree and Texture Series 3, I'm just going to get some of this sort of dried mud really, just on some areas of the banks, not everywhere, it's only in a few places actually. Right, so now let's start working on the body of that moss. So I'm going to try a few different techniques probably, unless of course this one works perfectly. Series 4 size 1. I'm going to use the corner of this, as I would doing foliage on trees, to try and get that texture right. Okay, so I've mixed what looks to be the right colour, and I'm just going to use that corner and just be very gentle, barely touching the panel at all. This is pretty much neat paint really. No, well, there is no thinner at all. There is no thinner at all. No medium. Now pretty much the moss there is finished. I mean, there's a lot to go over the top of that. We've got other dead leaves and bits of mud and sticks and twigs and things, and we're going to do that now. I've just been putting in some of the darker shades with the rigger brush here, the Series 1 size 0, and we're just putting in some of these darker shades before we then go over the top with the lighter bits of leaves. But we're almost getting to a point now where the ground is finished and we can then move over to the tree. But the same technique is involved here as it was with this, and it's just a case of putting in as many of those different colours and details as we can. One of the things I'm going to be working on now is putting in all of these twigs and sticks and things. There's a few darker shades in there, a few little darker leaves that we can put in as well, but let's start working on the sticks now. There's also what looks like some ivy, just a little bit of ivy growing up this tree here, so we're going to put those bits in. We're going to continue with the rigger brush as per normal, Series 1 size 0, available from our website. Let's do these lighter bits here first. So, thinning the paint down. And just putting in these really small little twigs and areas. I think really when you're doing this sort of thing, I think it's these tiny little details that would probably be very easy to just think, oh, you know, it's not that necessary. I'm not sure I can be bothered to put it in, but I think it's these bits that really make a picture. Right, so let's now get started on the actual trunk of this tree here. I don't think it's going to be too difficult. There's some moss on there as well, and lots of various sort of light blue colours. But as per normal, I'm going to add some darker tones to that by using the Tree and Texture Series 3 size 3/8. And as we have done with everything else, we're going to put some darker areas on there, and then we'll add the details afterwards. Now, looking closely at the photograph I'm using, there's almost, it's not a clean, smooth colour. It does have very much a stippled, dark colour to it. So let's get working on that now, and I'm just going to mix up some darker colours using this brush and do those stippled tones. So now I've added some of those darks. I think we still need to add a few more, maybe a bit higher up, but on looking at the tree trunk, I can see lots of little dark areas within that, lots of horizontal banding. So I'm going to use the rigger brush now, Series 1 size 0, to put those in. Now I'm going to continue with the same colour, same paint that I was using to put on those darker darker stippled look here, but now I'm just going to add, using the same colour, some horizontal lines in there. Thinned it down slightly so we can get a nice sharp edge. Now put in some of those darker tones. Now it's time just to put in some of the lighter areas. And I'm going to do that very much in the same way as I did those darker tones. Going to use the Tree and Texture series again. Just using a lighter colour.